in the big story this morning. Breaking news out of the United Kingdom. Prime Minister Kier Starmer has officially announced his resignation, bringing an abrupt end to a premiership that has faced mounting political pressure in recent months. His departure follows disappointing electoral performances, declining public confidence, and growing unrest in the Labour Party. The resignation now sets the stage for a leadership battle that could reshape British politics and determine the future direction of both the Labour government and the country itself. Among the names being discussed as potential successors are Andy Burnham, who has emerged as a leading contender following his recent political successes and growing support within the party. Nathaniel, Peat is our guest this morning, and he is in fact a multi-award winning entrepreneur, advisor to Lloyd's Banking Group. He's a business coach, former advisor to the government of Jamaica, and CEO of the Safety Box. I think as the conversation progresses, we'll be joined by Selbourne Sydial. But right now we say good morning and welcome, Nathaniel. How are you doing today, my brother?
Good morning. I'm very good to be at you. Just happy. You know why? Because I just finished the back of the diaspora conference in Jamaica, so I'm still in Jamaica. So it's a pleasant morning I see with the sunshine here.
All right.
In Jamaica. Yes, man. But the political landscape in the UK has really just been unsettled for so long, man.
I wanted to you just give me a quick overview of how well the diaspora conference actually, because I saw bits and pieces and it looked like it was a major success. In general, how was it for you?
Boy, if I could give one word,
yes.
I gotta say lit.
Lit.
When I say, all right, boy, I'm gonna tell you. I think this diaspora conference was different because, the government of Jamaica, what they did is they sent out a survey. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Affairs sent out a survey to the diaspora. So what do you want to talk about? And you see, those topics of conversations were crafted directly from the mindset of the diaspora and Jamaicans living overseas, which critical conversations, critical education, health, AI, digital reform, hurricane recovery, digital, social, creative industry, a range of different topics of how the diaspora can really share best practice and we can power up certain things. And, one thing that I did with my colleague Corey Hyde was launch the British-Jamaican Chamber of Commerce because micro and small enterprises in Jamaica may want to do business in the UK. They may want to have pounds coming into the Jamaica, and these chambers will help to support that alongside the other existing chambers as well. So that was a major feature for us from the UK with the launch of the British-Jamaican Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
But yeah, overall, it was a very good conference.
I'm really glad to hear that. Now, let's turn our attention, Nathaniel, to getting an immediate reaction from you in relation to Kier Starmer's resignation, and how significant is this moment for British politics, as you see it?
Well, I mean, we've been through 6 prime ministers now since 2016. The political landscape has really been unsteady for quite some time. And, there was a lot of pressure which built through a sequence of political policy and setbacks rather than a single isolated event relating to this resignation. When we had the elections in May of 2026, the Labour Party, which is the current leading party in the United Kingdom, lost about 1,500 councillors in England, and they lost control of about 38 councils in Wales. And you see that outcome of literally losing had a major impact in terms of the former prime minister, as he's resigned now, going into place. And Burnham, you mentioned Annie Burnham, he actually won 55% of the vote. I think he got close to 10,000 majority over the Reform UK, which is a growing party in the United Kingdom. The Reform has really been pushing for Brexit, and so, that single event, was not enough to remove him or pressure him to leave. The crisis became public and cabinet level because there was several reports describing ministers and MPs pressing him to depart, while, in the back burners, you had support consolidated around Burnham. And, the political reversal, credibility damage, a lot of things were surfacing. His response to the Jewish community after the stabbings, and there was a lot going on politically, and the fiscal, in addition to that, the difficult fiscal backdrop, which narrowed his room to recover politically, because the public borrowing that the UK had in May was about £23 billion above the forecast, with high debt interest costs and weak growth. And all of that made it harder to keep to the promises that he kind of had placed within manifestos and what he was saying, with the new spending without unsettling markets and breaking the fiscal rules.
Yeah.
And so that, a combination of events, not one single thing, has led to this resignation. And we could see that this was happening. We could see what's happening.
Yeah. You have, in fact, laid out a number of key factors that ultimately forced Starmer's hand and led to this decision. But the focus now, Nathaniel, turns quickly from the outgoing Prime Minister to his possible successors. How much momentum would you really say that Andy Burnham gained in the recent weeks? And is he now the clear favorite to replace Starmer?
Well, I mean, the fact that this guy got 55% of the vote, all right, over Reform UK, where Reform was really picking up speed. Before Makerfield's dissatisfaction with Starmer, the MPs could complain, but there was no nationally recognized replacement to take over. However, when Burnham won, he kind of transformed that vision in the minds of people, and it literally has given Labour some level of credibility around a successor with a common seat, with a strong public profile, executive experience as being a former mayor of Manchester, of Greater Manchester, which is, for those Man U fans, out there, he used to be the mayor of Man U. I'm not Man U, the mayor of Manchester, but, and you got Manchester City and the football up there. So it's a major city. It's a major city in the UK. And through that very visible electoral win against Reform, that symbolism has mattered within the Reds, the Reds is the color of the Labour, and that momentum, I think, has made him a good argument of renewal, before the next general election, and I feel that the MPs may feel as though it is practical to have him as the endorsed new potential
candidate.
Candidates. That's it.
Yes. All right. Well, at 15 past the hour of 7 o'clock Jamaica time, I'm going to allow the listeners to hear how former Prime Minister, shall we refer to him as that, Kier Starmer, announced his resignation this morning. While that is being played, we will in fact be trying to connect with Selbourne out of the United Kingdom so that he can join in on the conversation. So, listeners, it's still a part of the big story. Listen carefully right now.
Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party. I have spoken to His Majesty the King this morning to inform him of my decision. I will ask the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party to set out a timetable with nominations opening on the 9th of July and completed by the summer recess. Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party. I have spoken to His Majesty the King this morning to inform him of my decision. I will ask the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party to set out a timetable with nominations opening on the 9th of July and completed by the summer recess. Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party. I have spoken to His Majesty the King this morning to inform him of my decision. I will ask the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party to set out a timetable with nominations opening on the 9th of July and completed by the summer recess. Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party. I have spoken to His Majesty the King this morning to inform him of my decision.
All right, that is former UK Prime Minister Kier Starmer there as he made the announcement of his resignation earlier today. Unfortunately, was not able to connect with Mr. Sydial. Maybe we'll do that later on this morning. But I do have Nathaniel Peat with me still. Nathaniel, you there? All right, let me try to do that quick reconnect with Nathaniel Peat, so that we can continue our conversation right here on the Richie B Morning Show. It's a very, very important conversation that is being had. And I tell you, all right, there it is. Nathaniel is doing the quick redial. Thank you so very much, Nathaniel. Thank you for rejoining me. We have you live on the air once again. Now, Nathaniel, we know that leadership changes can be quite energizing, but they can also expose divisions. What does Starmer's resignation tell us about the current state of the Labour Party itself?
Well, I mean, you know, Labour has to follow constitutional processes. You know, it's somewhat puts a little bit of doubt, I would say, in the minds of voters in the United Kingdom. You know, the issue that we're facing is that, you know, there is instability in government, and you know, the potential upside of it is that, you know, there's a clear leader, you know, that can reset the government's message. But then on the other side, you know, is there stability in the next leader? You know, how can he fix the problems? You know, the new leader is walking directly into the same problems that the former prime minister had, you know, so we have to really look at this logically. And the Burnham's mayoral victory, it does give him an executive identity. Mm-hmm. But being the prime minister requires positions on defense, foreign policy, taxation, immigration, NHS, the economy, the unions, you know, and the governing program can't be built directly around, you know, the regional leadership he's had. And so Labour actually needs a credible response on migration, on, you know, the attitude towards the economic insecurity, the trust, in fact, that has been eroded in politics. Mm-hmm. And it could potentially lose other voters, yes, if it shifts too far toward the reforms framing
I appreciate that. And just to say to the listeners that we are, and to you as well, Nathaniel Peat, that we are now joined by well-known lawyer out of the United Kingdom, a man you also know well, Selbourne Sydial. Good morning, Selbourne. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Nathaniel. Good morning, listeners, and good morning, Richard B. Can you hear me clearly, sir?
I'm hearing you clearly, and we also have Nathaniel Peat as part of the conversation. Now,
In the
Jamaica still. He came down for the...
Yeah, man. I'm in Jamaica still, bro. I'm in Jamaica still, bro.
I know.
All right, so Selbourne, let me get your immediate reaction. You're based in the UK as we speak. Your immediate reaction to Kier Starmer's resignation, and tell us how significant this moment is for British politics.
Well, I will let you know. I just came out of an election myself because I stood for the mayor of Lewisham in the recent local government elections. So I've been in the thick of it and understanding to a great extent of what the people are actually thinking and what they're saying. And I want to say something there. What Nigel Farage said when Nigel Farage was on his campaign, he said, vote for reform, you get rid of Starmer. Because Farage is up and down saying it is because of that Starmer is going. One of the things of Kier Starmer is this. Kier Starmer has not been very you see, there's a communication issue, because the Labour Party has done some great, fantastic things. But what people tend to recognize a lot is the U-turns. As you recall, there have been some significant U-turns which has happened over the period of the tenure for the 2 years that the Labour Party did under Keir Starmer. So people are not happy with that, especially with the winter taxes, the school bits, and so like that with what do you call it, the tuition fees. So people in the UK are a bit annoyed by a leader at this moment, like Starmer, but at the same time, it is not just the leader, Richie B, it is also the party and the policies. One of the things that Starmer is not very good at is communicating. And people also feel that Starmer actually has not represented another sector because, there's this thing in the UK called right wing, left wing. The right wing, whether we like it or not, they are part of the United Kingdom. And therefore, what you're seeing is that anything that happens to a certain extent, they call it right wing. It really hits out against right wing, which is another cross section, which are people. So they feel like it doesn't represent properly. So personally speaking, I think it is good news. But I tell you what's going to happen next. What's going to happen next? There will be a general election, whether we like it or not. And the press or the parties have the receipt because when Rishi Sunak was the prime minister, everyone was saying we need a personal mandate. He doesn't have a personal mandate from the electoral constituents. And therefore, they pushed for the election. It happened also with John Major, put up or shut up. So Andy Burnham, which of course I personally believe it will be a coronation because West Streeton, the health secretary, who stepped down to push the hand of Starmer by saying he's going to run for leadership. But now you have Andy Burnham coming forth and West Streeton pull back now and say, I'm not standing. So it's going to be a coronation. And when you have a coronation like that without policies being debated, people are going to say, hang on a second, we don't know this man. Yes, he did some good stuff in Manchester. Yes, he did some good stuff with the buses and he stood up for during the virus, during the corona. But, they don't know it.
Oh.
So there's going to be an election in 27.
So all right, we hear your prediction loud and clear. But beyond governing, Selbourne, there's the challenge of reconnecting with the voters. You intimated that earlier. Can a new leader, if it's Burnham, for instance, revive Labour's standing with the public? Or how has the damage already been done? Or, has the damage already been done is my question.
I think that Andy Burnham, the person that we see, will have a level of connection with the people in the UK and with Labour voters. But I don't think it will be enough because what you're seeing and the signs are already out there saying that it is going to be the same old, because the policies are very intrinsic at the same time. The policy, right now, the policies are very intrinsic. And that's what people are seeing because You've got the immigration issue, which is big.
Mm.
And what you're talking about, the Red Wall and these places, you've got these people that we call, Richie B, the quiet and silent majority. The silent majority don't go out and when people knock on their doors and they give their views on their polls. They wait until election and they vote. Hence the reason why Boris won the Brexit because of that red vote, that red wall. Those are persons that only come out and vote. So therefore, I believe it's not going to connect that much to make a fundamental difference. And I believe that what's going to happen, you're going to see the rise of the right and that's what's going to happen. That is why not Keir Starmer, Nigel Farage is now going to pushing for a general election because yes, Andy Burnham did well during the multiple election and by 9,000, but that was an election which wasn't just for McAfee. That was an election to determine the leader of the Labour Party who wants to get
All right.
Starmer out.
Got you.
Yeah.
Now, I want to bring back Nathaniel into the conversation. I mean, we can now safely say that there will be a new leader in the United Kingdom. What would you believe to be some of the top priorities facing this new next prime minister on, let's just say, day one, for that matter?
Well, I think trust is going to be a major thing. Some voters believe that Labour has not delivered enough improvements in the sectors of growth, public service and living standards. He's going to have to hit the ground running. He's going to have, Selbourne mentioned something around communication. The key communication that he has to give, he has to deliver on. Mm-hmm. All right. The fiscal credibility is central to the succession that he will have to be a successful leader. It has to be a stable, steady, rapid transition with clear commitments that he can tangibly get to get the issues that the prime minister that has left at the forefront and to take them head on is going to be a challenge. But he's going to have some level of coherent plan. He has to think about his allies and he's got to establish a new program to restore the confidence in the public and to seek election later from a stronger position. The local elections is where the damage has been caused, and so there's within that first 6 to 18 months, he's going to need to really be in those communities and stimulating those local labor seats as well, and those people on the ground. The UK's institutions, the civil service, all of those spaces as well. He's going to need to really step up and improve everything that has been failing because of the former prime minister's involvement and what he actually stepped into, in fact, because he stepped into a huge debt. Starmer stepped into a huge debt. So, it could be the same. It could very well be the same.
All right. Thank you. Now, Selbourne, I want to get your comment on this matter now. When historians look back at the period of Starmer's, shall we say, reign, what do you think Kier Starmer's political legacy will be, and what lessons should future leaders learn from his rise and his fall?
I think one of the strong legacies of Starmer, and I would say of any British leader when it comes down to the point when they have trouble at home, they do well on the international stage. It happened with Boris with Ukraine, and it also is happening with Starmer, his relationship with Trump. And whenever things are going wrong or bad at the yard, if anything, overseas, it's always a positive thing. He stand up against Trump when it comes down to the Iranian, where he didn't want to just go in blindly and support America like that. So one can say that he stood up against Trump, and British people love that. As a matter of fact, I think British people would have been happy if he had held off the announcement and waited till tomorrow. that is went Tuesday because Trump had said on his Truth and Social that Starmer is going
To
to resign.
resign, yes.
So, and the other thing also, what leaders should actually learn, I believe, from Starmer's demise is when you make a decision, and I understand that sometimes your decision might, after you listen to what people say, you sort of pull back or change your mind. Be very firm, and because we're seeing like seven major U-turns that he made, and that weaken his credibility. So therefore, leaders must show that they are strong and they got stamina. At the same time, you resonate and you listen to the people and try to, I always say this, give people an opportunity to talk. Don't, because when you see issues like the immigration, which is happening now, and then there's a set of people which feel like they are being suppressed, then you have something bubbling up, and that is what has happened with the immigration issue. So give a space where lots of people can talk. And one thing that Nathaniel said, which I agree with, what he needs to do is to really do a sort of campaign around the country, like Trump, for argument's sake, and start to connect back with the people. Forget about labor or conservative or reform, but connect with the people in every district. So my thing with Starmer is, and for leaders coming up in the future, is to be firm with your resolve as to what you do as much as possible. Listen to the people and say, and nothing is wrong with actually changing your mind on certain things, giving reasons. But it's like when you make strong decisions, firm decisions, and people make a lot of noise or get a kickback, he changes his mind. And then people say, oh, this guy's a U-turn. We can't take him serious.
Flip flopping. Yes, I want to just although we're gone past time, but I do want to get Nathaniel's take on Kier Starmer's legacy. Nathaniel, in closing.
Well, I mean, he tried his best. I don't think you want to. I don't think you want to begin to leave like this in this manner. And so he came in and he tried to reinforce that public impression that Labour is a stable party. I really cannot. I cannot knock the beginning traction that he had right at the beginning, but as it has played out, the pressure that he faced as a leader, the problems that we had with that political shock that happened where Labour lost 1,500 councils in England, he stepped into a job that I think would have taken a different type of leader, and I think he probably misjudged the ability to pull that party forward as the leader. But he did his best, and I cannot say that anybody else would have done any different. And so he has his left. And we'll see what happens now as Burnham or whoever else is going to take the place leading the Labour Party in the United Kingdom.
Nathaniel, Peat, and Selbourne Sydial, thank you so very much, gentlemen, for your time and your thoughts this morning on this breaking story of the former Prime Minister of the UK, Kier Starmer, resigning this morning. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good day. Until we talk again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All the best.
Bye-bye.